Welcome to the theater. This is a temple wherein men demonstrate the lessons of the gods over mere mortals. There is nothing real here, not even shadows, but the lessons are starkly portrayed for the benefit of each of you. We, the actors, and you, the audience, together diligently feel the presence of warring gods all around us, fearing them to come down from Mount Olympus. We know they will, should we require intercedence. They will rebuke anyone deemed inattentive, and that means you. Tonight, to please their honor, we present a tragedy of men who deny the gods. Specifically, we enact our version of Sophocles' third Theban tragedy, Antigone. As you remember from our last episode, Oedipus, our former king, has left the throne to wander aimlessly blind and bereft throughout the land. Creon, Oedipus' wife's brother, has reluctantly taken receivership of the throne after the subsequent deaths of both of his nephews, they the only sons of Oedipus, named Polynices and Eteocles, brave and hungry heirs who fought in the bitter war for succession, delivering a death blow to one another. These thoughtless actions left our great and overburdened leader, Creon, standing alone. In his steadfast love, he reinvigorated our perilous throne. Creon serves of Thebes, once again aghast in the eyes of both gods and man. Only Oedipus' two daughters remain of his true family, Antigone and Ismene, who stand taciturn whilst remembering their brothers' young lives were just lost in piously gruesome and gratuitous deaths. As you know, I am Tiresias, the blind prophet. Oedipus would not listen to me. Now will Creon, will Thebes. As a messenger of the gods, I will return once the story unfolds and the lessons revealed. Tonight's play is Antigone. Ladies.
Dear sister Ismene, my love and my life, do you not know of any ill that Zeus has not caused in our brief lives because of our father Oedipus? I have witnessed pain and madness indeed, and shame and dishonor. Yes, all of these have been a part of our fate and disaster. And now men speak of a new decree, one that has been pronounced to all the citizens. Have you heard of this, or unaware still of the hostile cruelty urged upon the ones we love?
No word has come to me, Antigone, about our loved ones, neither fair nor foul, since we were robbed of our dear brothers both, in mutual slaughter on this dread and single day. And since the army left in the night just past, I have no further news to bring me either grief or happiness.
Just as I thought so, and so I have called you here alone outside the gates of Thebes to hear the news from me.
What then? You would uncover some dark threat?
King Creon, our mother's beloved brother, has only honored one of our two brothers with the grave, dishonoring his twin. Men say he has interred Eteocles beneath the earth with all due rites and ceremony to rest in honor with the dead below. Whilst poor, dead Polynices, men say, he has decreed to all the citizens that they must neither give it burial nor cries of grief, giving welcome lauder to sharp-eyed and beaked birds. Such orders, men say, the noble Creon has also enjoined on you and me. On me, I say, on me. And now he is coming even here to pronounce his news to those as yet in ignorance. And a thing of some importance, too, since he will condemn anyone who disobeys his decree to a public stoning in the streets. That is the situation, and time will soon reveal if you are noble-born or if you will betray your line.
You always were impetuous, Sister Antigone, but if things are as you say, what can I do to hinder him or to help you?
Perhaps you can share an enterprise that I have conceived.
What enterprise? Just what is in your mind?
Will you join hands with me to bury him? Let us bury our beloved Polynices, who deserves all honor.
You think to bury him, a thing forbidden to all, us included?
Yes, bury my brothers and yours too, for like it or not, I shall not be blamed for betraying him in life or death.
Rash fool you are, when the king forbids such emotion to show it.
It is not his right to keep me from my brother.
Oh no, consider our father, sister, how Oedipus left an object of hatred, all honor gone, a man who took it on himself with his own hands to gouge, destroy his eyes, and then his wife and mother, ours as well, she throttled out her own life, and third and last, setting our brothers on the self-same day, both brought about their deaths with mutual hands against each other. Consider again how we, the sole surviving kin of the true king, shall both be ruined, yes, in misery, if we run to counter the power and vote of a king king who had declared himself. We must remember this, we are mere women both, and so we must follow those who walk in power. And so I shall beg of those beneath the earth to pardon me for what I am compelled to do. It makes no sense to flout due moderation here. The law is known.
I would not pressure you to work with me, not even if you wanted to and gladly changed your mind. Be just who you choose yourself to be, whilst I myself shall bury him. And if I die, then be it well and good, for I shall lie in love beside my best beloved Haman. For the time it takes to please the dead below is longer far than that required to satisfy the world above. For I shall rest evermore in light and love. But you, sister, so be your will, be guilty of dishonoring the practice honored by the gods. You will rest in peril.
I will not be guilty of dishonoring the laws of God, but I am not empowered to flout by force the will of people.
Excuses are easy to make. I shall keep the earth as my dear brother's tomb alone.
My dear misguided darling, how I fear for you.
Fear not for me, but rather guide your own course aright. Your eternal spirit is at stake.
If that is your decision, go. But be assured of this, despite the folly of your quest, your loved ones love you still.
Sunlight, fairer yet than all, before days to shine on seven-gated Thebes. This host it came against our land, the reason, Polynesia's fretful claim, and screaming shrill it stooped upon our land, an eagle plumed on wings of snow, all white, allied with full array of arms and horse-haired helmet crested.
He stood outside our walls, his ring of spears agape with bloody teeth, a threat to the sevenfold mouth of Thebes. But he was gone before his jaws were engulfed in our crown of tears. The clatter of war rose thick about him, indomitable the dragon-born battle cry. For Zeus he loathes boasts made by an arrogant tongue, and so when he saw them, brothers in a river in spite, he hurled down with thunder and fire, advancing victory's cry.
And both fell, hurled, twisting down to the earth, torch clasped still in hands, dashed, disappointed his host, and mighty Ares, god of war, allotted each their different fate, rude health and harness strength.
Men then abandoned their gear, all of bronze, a trophy for Zeus, save for two. Ill-fated this pair, twins born of one mother and one sire. Spear shafts set against each others as they stood, at the fate of a mutual death, both now condemned.
And victory has come, fair of fame, to Thebes, a city that loves its wealth of chariots, and the wars are all done and behind us now.
So let us forget, and dance through the night to the homes of the gods in our dance, Dionysus, our guide, as his feet beat the earth.
But here is the king of this land, Lord Creon, the son of Meneses, newly risen to the throne, the most recent chance wrought by the gods. What fresh plan does he urge that sends him forth? And why has he summoned this council to meet in assembly, wrought by a common command?
My friends, our ship estate, storm-tossed by the gods, has been set once more on a safe and even keel. I have summoned you here today because I know that when Oedipus was ruler of state, and when he died, why still you remained a bastion of common sense. And when those two brothers did perish on the self-same day, struck down by a mutual fate by each other's hands, and they did suffer the guilt and shame of fratricide. And then I assumed the throne and all the cares of royal power with my closest kinship with the men now dead. It is impossible to know and understand the heart, the soul, and the intellect of any man until he is revealed submitting to the daily test of government or rule. For I, Zeus be my witness, who forever sees all things, would never hold my peace were I to see disaster speed against the citizens so as to ruin our security. Nor yet could I befriend any man who has once threatened the state. With principles like these, I will enhance the city's fame. Accordingly, I have publicly pronounced my policy regarding these two brothers, the deceased sons of Oedipus. Antigone, who died a hero's death, his spear in hand in defense of the city, is a hero, I say, and he shall assume but that same man's brother, yes, Polynesius, who though he was in exile, descended upon his native land of gods with the intent of sack and fire and pillage. It is decreed that none shall gratify his corpse with proper burial rites, nor yet lament for him. But men must leave his body all exposed, a feast for carrion birds and dogs, a gross spectacle of shame. My mind is thus set that these men ashamed shall never outstrip the just fallen so long as I hold sway. But if you have served the city well alive or dead, then you shall receive respect and honor from all mankind.
It is your pleasure then, Menecius' son, to deal in contrary fashion, separating the traitor and the patriot.
Of course.
Employ the law's full force upon the dead.
Therefore, and on as many of us as yet do live, this is your right to separate the two.
Of course, you'll see that my will is done. I have set eager guards to oversee the corpse.
What else would you then enjoin on us?
You should not sympathize with those who would transgress my word.
No man is quite so foolish that he wants to die from your condemnation.
That is the ruling, of course, be sure. But oftentimes men are corrupted by the hopes of personal gain.
My lord, I do not come as one quite out of breath from haste, nor as one fleet of foot, since many times my anxious and whirling thoughts delayed my progress here, and brought me to a stop. For my inner voice would speak in that at length. You fool, you know what pay awaits you there. You clown, you more delay. If Creon hears of this from someone else, then yours will be the sorry life. Such consternation checked my tardy progress here, and so a meager path became a marathon to achieve to reappear unto you. At last, however, my resolve to come to you won the day, and so I shall tell my tale such as it is, mere reporting. Knowing one thing alone is certain sure. Ultimately, I cannot suffer anything outside my destiny.
Tell us this tale that causes such distress.
I want to tell you first my role in this, as I had none. Nor did I see the man who did, or does, this thing. And so by rights I shouldn't pay the penalty by being the dreaded messenger of ill. I am the messenger, sire.
You shrewdly aim to fence in knowledge, blockade yourself from blame. So surely you must have a novel tale to tell.
Yes, long-windedness should be urged upon any man who brings such news.
Then state your words and return to your home.
I'm telling you, someone just now has gone and done a burial, sprinkled thirsty dust upon the flesh, and performed the necessary rites.
What? What man would dare such a crime?
I do not know. For there was no mark of shovel there, no clods dug up by hoe. The earth was packed and bare and dry, unbroken even by the ruts of wagon wheels. The perpetrator left no trace. And when the early morning watchman showed us this, all felt a dreadful clash of fear to face the truth. The corpse had vanished, not fully buried yet, a scanty covering of dust sufficient to placate the dead in honor of Polynices. Recriminations then flew thick and fast, with God accusing God and no one there to check the blows. We are innocent. Nothing of the crime. We're not complicit with the planning or act of this travesty. So, at last, the resolve to come to you was what was voted on. And so, I am the messenger. And so, I come against my will and yours, I know. For no man likes to be the bearer of such news.
My lord, I've long been nurturing the thought that this act may have been driven by the gods themselves.
Enough before your words fill me with rage, and you are found to be at fault for the crime you decry. For there's no enough before your words fill me with rage, and you are found to be at fault for the crime you decry. Since what you say cannot be borne, declaring to the gods of any care for that wretched corpse known as Polynices. For could you conceive of the gods betraying me when? Could you conceive of the gods betraying me by bearing and honoring him as if he were a gallant hero when in fact he came to torch their colonies and temples, overthrow their images, lay waste to their lands, and destroy their laws? Can you conceive of the gods betraying me? Not so, for from the first some citizen begrudged my rule, shaking their head and denying the cheerfulness of my yoke and dominion as their lord, king of Thebes. It is these men, I am convinced, who have bribed the city guard and suborned them into the deed itself. For nothing took root so evil amongst men as pieces of silver, or 3 dozen to assuage guilt. Cash brings destruction on the state, drives men to betray their homes and their native land, perverts the consciousness, and turns the noble minds of men so that they can countenance all acts of shame. Corruption teaches men the varied kinds of villainy, highlights the potential sophisticated seduction of every enterprise, but whosoever profited from this crime ensured that he in time will pay due recompense. And so, as I hold Zeus in high regard, be sure, and here's the solemn oath on this, unless you find the guilty man who did this burial and deliver him right before my very eyes, then death will not suffice until you are hung out in torment. Do not let your blind love affair for money try and overcome your common sense. For you will see that more men are destroyed by ill-gotten gain than are made secure by them. Be clear that you and your men shall set the standard should I fail to find the actual criminal.
Grant me leave to speak, or should I turn and go?
You still speak? What a natural clown you are!
Not such a clown as to have done this thing.
On the contrary, you sold your soul for cash.
I did not, my lord. I nor any other have received as much as a coin. It's terrible when the judge hears nothing, reverting the facts.
Philosophize, so be your wish. But if you are not able to produce for me the man or men who are guilty of this crime, then you shall stand personally in their wake, along with your full contingent of guards. Watch your words, for they shall seal your fate outright, bar no other's guilt!
No, then I wish he be found. But whether he be caught or not, fortune be the judge of that. I thank the gods for a safe departure.
Creon sails the balance between the working, the mule, and the land. Man works, man lives, kings thrive.
Masterful king, conquering too with his traps, breaks in the wild mane of the horse that submits to the yoke, and the unflagging bull from the hills.
Only brave deaths admits no escape. Deadly diseases yield now to cure. Kings wither and pass as men.
Wisdom Creon has beyond dreams of invention should he follow the law, fixed on a life of crime and punishment from the gods.
Thus this is an omen sent by the gods. Yet how can it be?
But how may we deny the certainty this work is indeed that of the woman, Antigone?
Poor wretched child of the knowingly cursed Oedipus, whatever does this mean? It cannot be they leave her as a criminal, transgressing Creon's law, caught in an act of foolishness.
He returns from the house to answer our need and assertion.
My lord, a man should never swear that he won't do a thing in case hindsight should make him out a liar. Since I swore I would not return again in haste by reason of threats for which you pelted me afore, but unexpected joys which come quite unforeseen are likely to outstrip by far all other happiness. And so I come and bring this girl, who was caught in the act of burying the cursed corpse. I seized this opportunity for myself to clear my name. And now, my lord, take her for yourself and test her. Put her the question as you like. Well, I shall rightly gain complete acquittal in this case.
Just how and where did you apprehend this girl so conveniently fast?
Upon my return, she was in the act of burying the corpse. No more than less.
So you understand the import of your words.
I saw her in the act of burying the corpse for which you had to forbid. Is that clear enough?
How is it that she was seen and captured in the act?
It was like this, you see. We went back to our post, all mindful of your dreadful threats, and swept away the shroud of dust which cloaked the body, laying the corpse again completely bare. We sat ourselves down upright of the bridge to escape the stench that might assail us there. And each kept the others alert with floods of abuse, ensuring that none grew careless of the task. And that is how it was for quite a while, until the sun's bright disk was at its zenith overhead, and the heat grew stifling, and all at once the blast of wind kicked up a dust storm from the ground, and it passed. The child was spotted there, and cried aloud upon seeing the corpse. She screamed cries of grief and imprecations dire consequence upon the men who had undone her work for the gods themselves. At once she lifted the dust-dry earth and cupped her hands and lifted too a well-shaped urn of bronze and crowned the corpse 3 times in threefold offerings of sweet dust to cover his flesh. When we saw her there, we rushed her then to hunt her down, but she did not seem all too upset to be found. We questioned her about her past and tragic crimes, and she did not deny a thing. Now, to escape one's danger for oneself is very sweet indeed, but to do so at driving a woman into harm brings pain. All things pale into insignificance, I think, and naturally so, compared with one's own reprieve.
Begone in relief, then, should she concur thus saving you. You, yes, you, with your head cast down to the ground, do you confess or deny having done these things?
I do declare I did these things, do not deny the fact.
Then you, messenger of the guard, may take yourself where you will, relieved of any grievous charge of guilt. Go, quickly. And you, answer me, but keep it brief. Were you aware that I had publicly forbidden such an act?
I was aware of it, of course I was. You proclaimed it in full voice.
And still you dared to contravene my laws.
I did, since Zeus did not pronounce these laws, but they were devised by you, a man. Justice, dweller with the gods, does not prescribe such laws among the ranks of such humans. I did not think that your decrees were of such weight that they could countermand the laws of the gods, being you a mortal and only a man. The laws divine are not for the now, nor yet for yesterday, but live forever, and their origins are mysteries to men. I would not wish to pay a penalty to gods for contravening by thus acquiescing to a tyrant's temper tantrum. But I know that I now